Okay, so I'm writing this out, I guess into the internet void, because I think I might have completely and irrevocably screwed everything up. My stomach has been in this tight, cold knot for a week. I keep replaying one conversation, just one single moment, over and over in my head, trying to pinpoint where it all went so wrong. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, except I'm the one behind the wheel, and I swear I thought I was driving perfectly safely. Her name is Oriana. For the last 5 years, she wasn't just my manager at the firm, she was my champion, my mentor, honestly, my professional shield. The person who filtered out all the corporate nonsense and deflected the political flack so I could just focus on the work. And now she won't even look at my texts. They just sit there delivered, a brutal, silent testament to a conversation I can't take back, and the reason for this wall of silence. Because I tried to help her, that's it, that's the whole supposed crime. She decided to quit. After a decade of building a rock-solid career, she's throwing it all away to start her own boutique data consultancy. Her words, not mine. It's a dream she's had, this little passion project. But I live in the real world. I know our industry. It's a shark tank, and she's been swimming in a very safe, very well-funded aquarium for a long, long time. I felt this crushing sense of obligation, a duty. I watched everyone at her farewell parties, all these smiling hypocrites telling her she's a visionary, a legend, that she'll conquer the world. It was nauseating. They were just saying what she wanted to hear, not what she needed to hear. I felt like I was the only one who actually cared enough to be honest. Someone had to give her a dose of hard, cold reality before she stepped off that cliff into financial and professional ruin. So I did. My intentions were pure. I was doing it for her own good. So why am I the one sitting in the wreckage feeling like the villain? It just doesn't make any sense. To really get why this is messing me up so badly, you have to understand what Oriana did for me. 5 years ago, I was just another junior analyst, buried in the basement level of the corporate food chain, churning out spreadsheets that I was pretty sure no one ever read. I was good, I knew I was good, but I was invisible, a ghost in the machine. Then Oriana transferred in to head up the strategic analytics division. The first time she spoke to me, it wasn't in some formal review. She found me in the break room, grabbing a coffee, and started asking me about a tiny footnote I'd included in a Q3 revenue projection. It was an obscure data point, something I'd thrown in because I thought it was interesting, but I figured it would be ignored like everything else. She didn't just notice it. She understood its implications instantly. She asked me 3 or 4 questions that were so sharp, so insightful, they completely reframed my own thinking. I remember feeling this jolt, this spark of recognition. Someone finally saw me. Within a month, she'd pulled me out of the analyst pool and put me on her core team. It was a move that ruffled a lot of feathers. I was too junior, didn't have the experience, blah, blah, blah. Oriana didn't care. She told the other senior managers that I had the sharpest raw instincts she'd seen in years and that it was their job to keep up. She handed me the Helios account, a project so high profile and so notoriously difficult that it was considered a career killer. But she didn't just throw me to the wolves. She was there in the trenches with me. In meetings, when a director from another department would try to talk over me or dismiss my findings, she'd calmly interject with, "Let Sloan finish, she's the one who actually ran the numbers." She gave me her time, her political capital, her trust. She basically built a greenhouse around my career, protecting me from the frost of office politics and giving me the perfect conditions to grow. And I did grow. I thrived. My work got noticed, I got promoted twice, and I became her de facto second in command. We were a great team, but looking back, maybe that greenhouse was a little too effective. For both of us, I started to see her role as well as something I was entitled to. Her support was just part of the architecture of my success. Of course she'd back my play, of course she'd give me the best projects, I was the best. Her judgment was impeccable because she chose me, and I think she got too comfortable in that greenhouse too. She forgot what the real world was like, a world without the firm's resources, without a team of analysts to do the grunt work, without her established nameplate on the door. Her decision to leave felt like a betrayal not just of me but of logic itself. It was naive, it was irresponsible, and I felt a profound, almost paternalistic responsibility to snap her out of it. To make her see that the talent I had was portable but the platform she had was not, I had to be the one to break the bad news, for her own good. The company threw her a big farewell thing at this swanky bar downtown. The whole department was there, plus a bunch of VPs and directors. The air was thick with cheap sentimentality. People were clinking glasses, telling overwrought stories about Oriana's vision and unwavering leadership. I just stood in the back nursing a whiskey, and the more I listened, the more irritated I became. It was all such bullshit. These were the same people who, a year ago, were trying to poach her budget or complaining behind her back about her management style. Now they were acting like they were losing their spiritual guide. I felt this weird hot pressure building in my chest. I wasn't just annoyed, I was angry on her behalf. They were sending her off into a war zone armed with nothing but empty platitudes. It was my job, as the person who truly understood her and the situation, to give her some real armor. I waited until the crowd started to thin out. She was glowing, laughing at some stupid joke a senior partner was telling. She looked happy, but it was a fragile, uninformed happiness. I caught her eye and gave her a little nod toward the hallway leading to the restrooms. She excused herself and met me there. "Hey, you okay?" "You've been quiet all night," she said, her smile still lingering. "I'm fine," I said, my tone more serious than I intended. "Listen, before you get completely swept away by all this," I gestured back towards the party. "I need to tell you something real, something nobody else in there has the guts to say." Her smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of polite curiosity. "Oh, okay." And then I just let it all out. I started by methodically dissecting the business model for her new venture, pointing out the cash flow risks, the client acquisition challenges, the sheer grind she was signing up for. I was calm, logical, laying it out like a quarterly report. "You've been insulated here, Oriana. You have no idea how much of your success was tied to the infrastructure of this place. The brand, the support staff, the existing client relationships. You're walking away from the entire ecosystem that made your work possible." She tried to cut in, her voice still gentle. "Sloan, I appreciate the concern, I really do, but I've thought about all this." I cut her off. I couldn't let her retreat back into her fantasy. "No, you haven't." "Not really." This is where the pressure in my chest finally burst. "You're listening to all these people blow smoke, telling you you're some kind of irreplaceable genius. It's dangerous." I stepped a little closer, lowering my voice to what I thought was an intimate, sincere register. "Honestly, Oriana, don't take the compliments too seriously. The truth is, you're not that special. The systems you built will keep running, the team will be fine, in a month nobody will even notice you're gone." I delivered the final line with the full weight of my convictions. "I'm telling you this for your own good. I want you to be prepared for how tough it's going to be out there when you're just another consultant hustling for a contract." The silence that followed was absolute. Every trace of warmth, of humor, of life just drained from her face. It was like watching a statue. She didn't look angry or hurt, just blank. She stared at me for what felt like a full minute, her eyes unblinking. I could see her processing my words, and for a fleeting second, I felt a surge of pride. I had done it. I had broken through. Finally, she blinked. She gave a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. "I see," she said, her voice completely flat, devoid of any emotion at all. "Thank you for your honesty." And then she just turned around and walked back to the party. She didn't say another word. She left me standing there in the hallway, alone, feeling strangely hollow but utterly convinced I had just done the most helpful, most necessary thing in the world. The next day was her official last day. The atmosphere in the office was weirdly festive, people stopping by her desk to drop off cards and say their final goodbyes. I kept expecting her to pull me aside, to maybe acknowledge our conversation from the night before, to thank me even for having the courage to be real with her. But nothing happened. She was polite, professional, but distant. It was like I was just another colleague she had to get through on her farewell tour. Around 4 p.m., the official goodbye email landed in my inbox. It was a generic, corporate-approved message, thanking the team and leadership, wishing everyone the best. My name wasn't mentioned, but I didn't expect it to be. It was a mass email after all. The real acknowledgement would come later, I thought. It never did. By the end of the day, her desk was cleared out, her computer gone. The silence was deafening. I waited until I got home and sent her a text. "Hey, hope you're not too hungover from last night, and I hope you're not mad. I was just being a friend and looking out for you." I watched the phone. The three little dots appeared, she was typing, then they vanished. A minute later, the text status switched from delivered to read. And that was it, no reply, just a digital void. The first week was when the confusion started to curdle into anxiety. A cross-departmental issue with the Helios account flared up, something Oriana would have normally handled with a single phone call. Now it was my problem. I spent 2 days in back-and-forth email chains, getting stonewalled by a director who clearly had no respect for me without Oriana's authority backing me up. The resources I'd taken for granted, The priority access to the data science team, the extra budget for analytics software suddenly evaporated. My requests were now being reviewed or pending approvals. My colleagues were different too. It wasn't overt, but it was there. The casual chats by the coffee machine felt stilted. People's eyes would flicker away when I approached. I was still part of the team, but I felt like I was on the outside looking in. I was the guy who had worked closest with Oriana, and now that she was gone, it was like her protective aura had vanished, leaving me exposed and strangely isolated. I kept replaying our conversation in my head. I was just being honest. I was trying to help. Why was I being punished for it? The logic didn't track. I would find myself staring at my phone at that read 8:14 p.m. timestamp, and a wave of pure, bewildered frustration would wash over me. I wasn't wrong. I just told her the truth. Why couldn't she see that? 3 months went by. 3 months of me trying to swim against a current I hadn't even known existed. My projects were stalling, my influence was shrinking, and the easy camaraderie I'd once had with my team was gone, replaced by a strained, formal politeness. I was miserable, and the misery was amplified by my utter confusion. I finally hit a breaking point when I was passed over for a lead position on a new initiative, a role that 6 months ago would have been handed to me without a second thought. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to understand. That night, I scrolled through my contacts and found her number. My thumb hovered over the call button for a long time before I finally pressed it. It rang 3 times, and I was about to hang up when she answered. Hello? Her voice was crisp, unfamiliar, not hostile, just neutral, like she was answering a call from a stranger. Oriana, it's Sloane. A beat of silence. I know, what do you want, Sloane? I stumbled through my words, my carefully planned speech dissolving into a desperate ramble. I wanted to see if you'd be open to grabbing a coffee. I feel like we left things in a really weird place, and I just want a chance to explain. Another pause. I could hear the faint clacking of a keyboard in the background. All right, she said finally. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the cafe on Elm Street, I have 20 minutes. The next day, I was there 15 minutes early, rehearsing my apology. When she walked in, she looked different, more relaxed maybe. She wasn't wearing the sharp corporate attire I was used to, just jeans and a simple sweater. She looked good. She looked happy. It threw me off completely. I launched into my monologue. Look, Oriana, I know the way I said things at your party was clumsy. It was the wrong time, the wrong place, I get that. But you have to understand where I was coming from. I was so worried about you. I saw you making this huge leap, and I just wanted to make sure you were seeing it with clear eyes. My motivation, my only motivation, was to help. I leaned forward, trying to convey my sincerity. I'm sorry for how it came out. I truly am. She listened patiently, taking a slow sip of her tea, her eyes never leaving mine. She didn't interrupt. When I finally ran out of words, she placed her cup down gently on the saucer. Sloane, I accept your apology, she said, her voice calm and measured, utterly devoid of the emotion I was churning with. And I believe that in your own world, you genuinely think you were trying to help me. I felt a wave of relief. Thank you, that's all I. But I can't have that kind of help in my life anymore, she continued, cutting me off smoothly. The trust I had in you, the belief I had that you were someone special, someone with not just talent but with character, it all died in that hallway. The person I had spent 5 years championing and believing in looked me in the eye and told me I was nothing special, and she said it with pride. She gave a small, sad shake of her head. I sincerely wish you all the best in your career, I mean that, but us, we're done. The finality of it was like a physical blow. Before I could even process it, I ran into Javier, one of our old team members, at an industry conference a few weeks later. He was bubbly, telling me how he'd just landed a contract with Oriana's new firm. Man, she's killing it, signed 2 major clients in her first quarter. The buzz is insane. He clapped me on the shoulder, then his expression shifted to one of pity. You know, she mentioned you once, he said, lowering his voice. She said she owes you a thank you. She said that what you told her at her farewell party was the final, absolute confirmation. She needed that leaving that toxic environment was the single best decision of her life. It's been almost a year now. I'm sitting at my desk, long after everyone else has gone home, the only light coming from my monitor. On the screen is an article from a major industry magazine. The headline reads, The Disruptors Doctrine, How Oriana Vance Built a Consultancy on Radical Empathy. There's a picture of her. She's not in an office, but in some bright, airy loft space, surrounded by a small, diverse team of young, brilliant-looking people. She's laughing, a genuine, unforced laugh that crinkles the corners of her eyes. She looks radiant, powerful, and completely at peace. I scroll down, my hand shaking slightly. The article is a glowing profile of her new company's meteoric rise. They praise her innovative methods, her sharp insights, her incredible ability to foster talent. Then I see a quote from her, set off in a large font. The best part about leaving your comfort zone, she says, is that you finally get the chance to discover just how special you really are. A cold, heavy feeling settles in my gut. It's not just regret anymore, it's a profound, nauseating sense of my own stupidity. All this time, I've been trapped in a loop of my own making, replaying my words, defending my intentions, stewing in this bitter soup of confusion and self-pity, wondering why she wouldn't understand me. And the whole time, she wasn't thinking about me at all. My devastating, for your own good truth bomb wasn't even a speed bump for her, it was a launch pad. My attempt to define her worth only served to expose my own insignificance. I was so arrogant, so convinced of my superior perspective, that I couldn't see the simplest thing. She was the one with the vision, not me. I wasn't her shield, she was mine. I look at her smiling face on the screen, and the reality hits me with the force of a physical impact. My world has been slowly crumbling for a year because of what I did, but in her world, I'm not even a footnote. I'm the nameless, faceless doubter she overcame in her origin story. I told her that in a month, no one would even notice she was gone. The irony is so thick I can barely breathe. She left and everything changed, but if I left tomorrow? My systems would keep running, my team would be fine, I'm the one who isn't special, I'm the one nobody would miss.